Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
The ISUPK, under Commander General Yohana, will be hosting the Lord's 54th Annual Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Downtown Convention Center. This is something that you do not want to miss. Make sure that y'all bring the entire family. The Downtown Raleigh Convention Center. For Blacks, Hispanic, and Native Indians. Go to isupk.com to purchase your tickets today. $200 per every adult over the age of 17 years old.
We are not the same. No, we not related. I'm not stuck on living. Death is a vacation. My camp undefeated. You cannot debate it. You just want the clout.
The Lord, 54th Annual Passover, April the 1st, is coming down to Raleigh, North Carolina. That's right. Commander General Yohana has done it again. You don't want to miss this. Pull yourself. Pull yourself. Shalom. It's that time again, Israel. It's the Lord's 54th.
All right, this is Rudy Speech, man. We got Captain Taiwo in the building. Yeah. So, Cap, man, let us know where you from.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me, man, on Rudy Speech, man. I break it down right quick,
don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I finish, one West when I start. Big shine. Big glow, I be gone till November, let my bitch know. I'm back by the winter, bubbling like Crisco. I need my pockets all swollen like a lymph node. Talking out the side of your neck, get you a slit throat. I stay broke, don't care if I got $1 million. Looking down on me, I put your brains on the ceiling. Fuck kicking down the door, we bout to demo the building. Fake cats all in these groups, I wonder who ya. Shoot ya off your pulpit, hallelujah. 4-pound gun youngin' down like it's a cougar. On my feet, combat boots, or is it Puma? Words spreading around about me, none of it rumor. All truth, very big facts. Very large caliber on very small gaps. Compact pistols, ladders, and all that. About to throw the switch in the Nina for rapid fire. Got the 5.7 equipped with the magnifier. Boom shakalaka equipped with the rim rocker. We ain't really got beef, yeah, Ramak would have been shot you. The best rhymer since Pac and Big Papa. Big llama, big juice, I'm Big Jamba. Quarter tank of gas, I ride like a big timer. No informer, no sweat, not in China. My conglomerate wreck like King Tonga. No Asian pun me, no chink in armor. Remain calm throughout pain that bring drama. Stay focused on things that bring commas. Took all pressure, applied and made diamonds. Stayed true, kept shit pure, my name honored. Paid all dues and debts and kept promise. Make sure you show respect, pay homage. That I'm One West bred, One West vetted, One West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, One West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, One West when I start. I said I've been One West bred, One West vetted, One West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, One West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, One West when I start. I'm the hottest on the market, don't make me start it. I'ma pull up in a Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I remember days was trapping out the apartment. Now One West about put me up in a starship. About to fly the friendly skies in this bitch. Spit the truth on the corners, I lie a little bit. I'm a stand-up nigga, I die before I switch. Down or we up, I'm cool with who I with. I'm a I'ma be war the king and stay dangerous. Hold down the biz and fam, remain blameless. Now rappers drippy with styles we made famous. First with studs and spikes in any city. Designing charge a stack for shit that can't fit me. Had printers on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain a $1.50. Lost my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street though, cause them niggas getting foul, shoot you like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino, and a nigga be the nicest with a mean flow. Try to ride my wave, you gon' need a speedboat. I'm hot like 100 degrees in a peacoat. Scarf in the sweater, I embark every letter. It's UPK, not a part, but together. Homie, I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West when I start. One West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart. One West when I'm finished, one West.
Hey, Shalom, it's where we the ISUPK start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. The ISUPK is not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite group. None, nada, zero, zilch. I'm Officer Naquam of the Nashville School. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shabbarakatham to my brothers. Yahweh Shamar Alathan Bahashem Yahweh Shah to my sisters. And we got a good class today. We're going to be talking about mental health, right? Mental health is a real thing in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American communities. A lot of us, a lot of it has been taught to us and passed down through generation after generation. And like I said, it's a real thing. We don't even know. A lot of our people don't even know that you know they have mental health issues. A lot of our people have no idea, you know, the trauma that we've been through, you know, throughout our years and how it affects our mental health. You know, the drug abuse, the child molestation, the rapes, the you know, it's a million things that we have been through as a people. And, you know, the vast majority of our people have PTSD because of it, but it's not diagnosed. You know, we just cope with it and deal with it differently, you know, with different ways. You know, a lot of us resort to drug abuse to deal with it. Some of us, you know, turn to you know, homosexuality and to deal with it. You know, there's so many different things that we use to cope with the depression and the trauma that we have as a people, you know. And in my opinion, it doesn't get talked about enough. It's not talked about enough. It's not addressed. We tend to go to our religious leaders and try to get answers, and the problem becomes worse because they're not addressing the root issue of the problems. They're just telling you to pray about it and cope with it. You dig? So they're teaching us how to cope and not actually fight, you know, and go to the root of the problem to get it addressed. And that's something that we noticed in the ISUPK, right? So we have a counseling department in the ISUPK where, and we do counseling. You don't have to be in the school to get counsel. You know, we have a counseling department and everybody is welcome to get counsel, you know, as needed. And in my opinion, I think all of us should be getting counsel. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody should be getting counsel from the ISUPK because we're going to go to the root of the issue and explain why we are feeling the way that we feel, why we go through the things that we go through, and how we can fix it going forward. And that's something that, in my opinion, like I said, this is just my opinion. In my opinion, that it is a blessing to have the ISUPK in every major city in America, because every major city needs counseling and have access to proper counsels. All right, so a lot of our people will go and get counsel from people who haven't been through what we've been through. I was watching Charlemagne the God, right? He said that he wanted to receive counsel. So, but he did not want to receive counsel from someone who looks like him. So he was like, he wanted a Chinese therapist. That's who he wanted to counsel, to give him therapy. But he ended up getting a white therapist. But he did not for sure want a black therapist, because he wanted somebody who didn't understand what we go through. He wanted somebody which makes absolutely no sense at all. What's the whole point? You know what I'm saying? Right. He wanted to go through someone who had, didn't know him, didn't know the issues that Black Americans go through on a daily basis. And he felt like he could get proper counsel from that person instead of getting proper counsel from someone who understood him. This made absolutely zero sense to me. You know what I'm saying? Why would you go to somebody who don't understand you to talk about things that, you might need help with, right, and then go to somebody who, absolutely has no idea what you're talking about at all? You dig what I'm saying? And this is, he's part of the problem, and that thinking is part of the problem. We need to be going to therapists who know what we're going through. It's like, why would I go to if I'm a drug addict, I'm going to people who never done drugs. That's why, AA is so, popular and helps so many people, because they're actual addicts who've been through it. Right. You know what I'm saying? These are actual alcoholics who've been through it, so that they can tell you how to not go through it anymore, because they've been through it. And that was not what the brother wanted. And that says a lot about, us as a people. Did you lock your doors? That's a lot. And that says a lot about us as a people, because a lot of us think that same way. We think that we can get help from, people, the people who's oppressing us, that we can ask them, and the people who depresses us, that we can ask them to help us, with our depression. And it's, it's ridiculous. Share the classes. These classes, they can help someone. I learned the truth and changed my life, and got out of the streets and everything else that I was into, to, be able to help another person with classes. I got it from the classes that someone shared, and I understood, what, after a while, I got to, learning, how to be a better person. Then, I learned that from people who share classes. They changed their lives. They share classes. And those classes help other people change their lives. And it definitely helped me. And I share classes because that helps other people, change their lives also. So we're going to dive into, I got an article, right? Hold on, I'm going to pull up an article. So I'm still kind of, no, I need to go over here. I got. Tell me if you can see this article that I just pulled up. It should show me and the article. So I can just go to.
I see it.
You see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I got an article, right, that I pulled up. It's called The Black and African Americans Community and Mental Health. So it talks about how we, you know, the statistics and, you know, some of the things that we're discussing right now. And it's talking about how, you know, our mental health affects us. Let me see something. Hold on, select. Let me go out of this real quick. Let me go back straight, y'all. Select, y'all. Try this one. Maybe it's a little bigger. I think I was kind of small. All right, let's try this one. Is it showing up?
No, so I can see your main screen. Okay, Black and African American communities. You can see like a, yeah, like your Gmail.
It should be okay. Yeah, it should be showing now. Is it showing now?
It's just a Gmail.
So it's not showing it?
Let me go out and go back in.
What about now?
You tell me, I don't see.
Okay, stop sharing. Let me stop. Hold on, let me fix it, y'all. I'm having technical difficulties right now. All right.
Okay, it's off the screen.
So ain't nothing on the screen. It shouldn't be anything on the screen right now. Okay. Let me try this one more time. Windows, it should be showing. All right, and this should be showing. What about now? So like it, y'all. I'm still trying to get code at this. At this wasn't.
Yeah, I see it.
All right. So now we got it's Black and African Community Studies, right? I mean, they did a study about the Black, the African American community in mental health. All right, so it's talking about it's like 13.4% of the U.S. population identifies as Black or African American. All right, so it's 13.4%. He said of those, over 16% reported having a mental health illness in the past year. All right, so it's only 13% of the population. Of those 13%, 16% reported, and this is important to notice. All right, so this isn't saying that 16% have mental health illnesses, right? I mean, it's not saying just 16% has mental health illness. It's saying that 16% have reported mental health illness. All right. So this is just of those 13%, 16% of that 13% has reported mental health illness. All right. He said that is over 7 million people. So over 7 million people. All right. Listen to this. have reported mental health illness of the African American community. All right, this is we're just talking about the African American community. 7 million people have reported having mental health issues. All right, that's a lot of people. All right, that is a lot of people. It says more people than the population of Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia combined. This is an important stat because that's a lot of people, and that's only the ones that have reported it.
Right.
All right, 7 million people. Now it could probably go up to, you know, in the tens of thousands. I'm sure easily. It can go up into the tens of thousands of our people who report. I mean, who are actually have mental health issues. All right, there's a lot of people walking around right now with mental health issues. There's a lot of people who's going to get their body disfigured that have mental health issues, who you might think are just, you know, some sane people, but they're dealing with, you know, mental health issues which make them, you know, disfigure their body. You know, cut off their penises. That's a big thing now for gender. What they call it?
Gender reassignment.
Gender reassignment. That is a mental health issue that we're dealing with. You dig what I'm saying? That's something that's serious. And you know, I remember back in the day, right? It used to be, you know, they had labeled homosexuality a mental health issue back in the day. It was literally, you know, in the books that it was a mental health issue. Bulimia, and what's the one where you eat when you don't eat enough? It was bulimia.
It's like anorexia.
Anorexia. That was big back in the 80s. Bulimia, you know, in the 90s. Bulimia and anorexia was big back then. Those were mental health issues. All right. That is something that, you know, a lot of people, like you would say, you know, you see these people and you believe that, you know, they're just sane people that just want to, you know, that believe that, you know, their body isn't the way that they want it to be. You know, so when you start going through the extremes to make it the way that you want it to be, then that's something that needs to be looked at. You know, when you see, you might see women and men, you know, who are having all kind of surgeries to look a different way. You know, Michael Jackson, you know, when you got, you know, 10 nose, you know,
right.
You done changed your nose 10 times, you know, that's a mental health issue. You know, you look warped in the mirror to yourself. That's mental health issues, man. These are people who are, you know, most of the time doing drugs and, you know, just dealing with all kind of mental health issues. But that's something that needs to be addressed. You know, I go on TikTok and you see all of the women, you know, who are getting these BBLs and changing their bodies and, you know, in all kind of ways. And that's the same thing, you know, as, you know, that's a mental health issue when you are so insecure about your body that you need to cut things and, you know, change things up. That's something that, you know, and some doctors won't even do it. You know, there are some responsible doctors out there. I don't want to say all of them just do it just to be. There are some doctors who are just greedy and want the money. They don't give a damn about, you know, the mental health part of the patient. And then there are some doctors that be like, okay, you're going too far.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna, you know, do this because even though you're paying real good, but you're still going too far. So I'm not going to be the one who, of course, there's going to be other doctors who will do it, but it's some doctors that have some kind of morals and standards and be like, look, I'm not going to be that doctor who, you know, gives you, you know, whatever you want. And a lot of doctors also, when people have mental health issues and they have drug abuse issues, and doctors, they'll go to the doctor and have them to write scripts, right? They call them scripts. All right, and they're getting scripts of all kind of medication that they, need. Now, some doctors will be like, you know what, I just can't give you, 1,000 Percocets every day. I mean, every week. You know what I'm saying? Right. I just can't do it. I know that you're addicted to it, and it's, you have a mental health problem. You have a addiction, and you need to address your addiction. It's not the pain that you're dealing with. It's the addiction to the drugs that you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that some doctors are more vocal about it and some are not. All right. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna read this article, right? The article that I just pulled up, African American community and Black African American community and mental health. Salakia. All right, so it says overall mental health conditions occur in Black and American. I don't know why they put Black and African American on here, but I'm just going to say it how it is. Black and American people in America at about the same or less frequent than white Americans. However, the historical Black and African American experience in America has continued to be characterized by trauma and violence more often than their white counterparts, and impacts emotional and mental health of both youth and adults. So it's saying that the trauma, white people and Black people are diagnosed with mental health issues about the same. All right, they're diagnosed about the same. So it's probably 7 million white people who are diagnosed with, which is, low for the amount of people here that they have. Ours is high because of the amount of people that we have. So 16% of our people do it. So that would make them probably like 6%. You do what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's about, the same, that are diagnosed. But they aren't diagnosed because of violence and the trauma that we experience by being depressed. All right, we're diagnosed because of that. All right, that is most of the time what more people in the Black and Hispanic community are diagnosed for mental health issues because of oppression. All right, and white people, they go broke and they get oppressed because of that. Historically, dehumanization, oppression, and violence against Black and African American people have evolved into present day racism, structural, institutional, and individual, and cultivates a uniquely mistrust and less affluent community experience. So it's telling you that by us living in the ghetto, by us, getting having unsafe water to drink. You dig what I'm saying? By us, having lead paint, in the house that's causing our children to have mental health issues. And all kind of other things, that are diagnosed with the experience that we endure in the ghettos and in the barrios and on the reservations. That is that's the main factor of why we are, experiencing. That is why we're experiencing the trauma that we have, and creating the mental health issues that we have. On top of that, I'm gonna keep reading. Characterized by a myriad of disparities, including inadequate access and delivery of health of care in the healthcare system. So we don't, we're not represented in health. The majority of Black people do not have healthcare. That's a fact. All right, and we Obama tried to, fix that with a healthcare bill and try to make it easy accessible for all Black people to get healthcare, because it was, the numbers were ridiculous how many people don't have healthcare. And, we have to You know, so we can't get the mental health care that we need because we don't have the money to get it. You know, it's like when it comes to dealing with our, you know, mental health issues, a lot of times it's just put them in jail.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of times that's the cure instead of, you know, making free accessible healthcare. It's, you know, lock them up in jail or lock them up in a, you know, some kind of institution to, you know, and that will, you know, we're going to put them on drugs. And, you know, if you go to jail, they got a thing called, it's like MedCall. So they will have a line of people, man, you know what I'm saying, that are just, you know, they just giving these drugs to, and, you know, you can go in not on drugs and leave jail addicted to drugs because they would just get you in there and give you, it's like they're having the experiments in there on brothers and sisters inside the jail system, you know, and the prison system, because they would start, you know, I see people, they be in there just zoned out, you know, and I've been to jail before. So they been in there just zoned out and strung out on drugs while they're in jail. And a lot of, you know, people leave jail strung out on drugs because, like I said, it's just a place, it's a warehouse where they, in my opinion, I believe that they're experimenting using drugs that they have on the people, you know. So instead of giving, doing clinical trials on, you know, on people outside, they would just do those clinical trials in the prison system. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So that's something that, and like I said, a lot of people will leave there and leave prison and jail and come out and be addicted to, you know, painkillers and all kind of crazy drugs that I've never heard of. You know, right. Go ahead, sister.
So they don't even need permission on the outside no more to like experiment and do things like that. They just use the people who don't have their free will no more. To experiment on them.
Right, because you lose all of your rights when you go to jail.
Right.
You know, when you go to jail, you are a slave.
Right.
All right, so you lose all of your rights in jail. You can't, you know, be like, you know, but if you go and be like, you know, I have this kind of problem, you know, they will administer drugs, like I said, that people, you know, I've never seen a lot of these drugs that they get, you know, and they're strong, and they'll be having people just in there like zombies, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just different drugs that they use, they'll use them on the prisoners because the prisoners, you know, you might have a foot ache and they give you something that you're going to be sitting there numb to the world, and you ain't even thinking, you don't even know you got a foot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No more, right. Because of the drugs that they giving you.
God.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's serious. All right. So it's a processing and dealing with layers of individual trauma on top of new mass traumas from COVID-19, police brutality, and fetishization in news media, and divisive political rhetoric adds compounding layers and complexities for individuals to responsibly manage. So it's hard for, what this saying is just the social norms are part of the reason why people are going through mental health issues. Also, you know, the things that are going on, you know, it depresses us, you know, that we had to sit in the house doing COVID-19 for, you know, what, a year? You know what I'm saying? A year and a half. We had to sit in the house during that time. So that during that time, people were being depressed because, you know, now you have to sit in the house and you actually have to be a parent to your children. Right. You know what I'm saying? For 24 hours. You know, so it was depressing to people, and they, you know, couldn't fathom having to take care of their own children for a year and a half, you know, and it was depressing. And a lot of people, you know, had PTSD, and, you know, postpartum depression was happening a lot during that time. You know, it was just a lot of things going on. So more people needed more drugs, you know, needed more counsel, needed things of that nature because of the social norms. All right, it says help-seeking behavior is affected by mistrust of the medical system and often begins with faith-based outreach. So it's saying that a lot of times black people and Hispanic people will not go to hospitals because they don't trust the hospitals. All right. It's like if you ever been shot before, right? You go to a hospital, you know, there's a 50-50 chance that you can live off of any gunshot wound. You know what I'm saying? If you're black or Hispanic. Because if you don't have, I've seen this too, man. This is the truth. If you don't have insurance, you are put on the bottom of the priority list, you know, when you go to hospitals. And not only being shot, that's for anything. You go to the hospital and you are on the bottom of the priority list when you have no health insurance or you have insurance that the hospital doesn't cover, you know, doesn't, you know, that's not compatible with the hospital. All right. So you're gonna, you know, probably, you know, sit around and I've seen brothers, you know, with gunshot wounds that are sitting in the waiting room, you know, and they got gunshot wounds sitting in the waiting room, filling out papers, you know, trying to figure out, you know, if they're going to see you or not. You know, it's a 50-50 chance that you could live or you could not live, you know, and a lot of people don't trust hospitals because they know that, you know, you go into the hospital with, you know, you might not come back out.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't trust hospitals. So that's why they don't go try to seek help. A lot of people don't trust, you know, and they'll go to their pastors or things like that. They won't go to psychiatrists, therapists to try to, you know, seek counsel or to get some kind of mental health help. They'll go to their pastor. And listen to me, your pastor is not qualified to give you mental health counsel.
Right.
All right, he is not qualified. Don't think because he's sitting in a big old church in a pulpit that he's you know, ordained to give you mental health counsel, when, you know, a lot of the times the pastors are, you know, the biggest sinners, and, you know what I'm saying, they have, you know, mental health issues themselves, you know, and have no discipline and no restraint or any of that nature to, you know, be able to give you proper counsel in your time of need. So a lot of us go to pastors and, you know, go to faith-based places to seek help. When and like I said, it doesn't help you. You actually probably become worse, you know, dealing with them. It says, however, MHA screening data shows that Black and African American people who screen positive for depression self-identify as planning to seek help at higher rates than general population. Says they will seek help. You know, a lot of people, and let's just go back to what I was just talking about. You know, they try to seek help and unfortunately they just really don't get it. You know, and that's one of the big issues that we are dealing with as a people. You know, who should be the ones to be able to give us counsel? You know, should it be people who look like us to give us counsel, or should we just go and get counsel from anybody? When we go and get counsel from other people who don't look like us, who have not experienced the experience that Black people have, you know, the Black experience in America, well, it's hard for them to understand what we're talking about. It's hard for them to understand what we're talking about, and it's hard for them to actually give us proper counsel. All right. And it says, unfortunately, Black and African American providers who are known to give more appropriate and effective care to Black and American help seekers make up a very small portion of the behavioral health provider workforce. So what this is saying is that, you know, the Black therapists and, you know, Black hospitals are, you know, very few. You know, we don't have a lot of Black therapists. And this is part of the issue that we're dealing with. All right. You know, there was a time when we had Black hospitals. There was a time when we had Black therapists, Black doctors. You know, these people were there, you know, to help the Black community because they were Black, you know, and Hispanic. So they understood what we was going through in America. So they understood, you know, we wasn't scared to go to their hospital, to our own hospital. You know, we're not scared to go to our own hospital. We're scared to go to these hospitals where we're going to be discriminated against. Right. That's what we don't want to go to. So part of the problem is we don't have our own hospitals to go to. Part of the problem is we don't have our own Black and Hispanic therapists that we can talk to. You know, they're in the minority. You know, so we end up going everywhere else trying to get help and, you know, not going to our own people to help us. And, you know, there are, you know, plenty of people who are making millions and billions of dollars who could help fix this problem, you know, but, you know, they're sending their money to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I just say Michael Jordan sent $10 million to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You dig what I'm saying? And this is $10 million that could have been towards, you know, building a Black hospital. You know, I seen, you know, brothers sending millions of dollars over to Africa. I'm just talking about Black people. I don't expect white people or the government to create, you know, Black hospitals and, you know, things of that nature for us. But I know that our people are spending millions of frivolous dollars on frivolous things. When we need Black hospitals, we need more Black doctors, we need more, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. And our people, you know, would rather go buy a Birkin bag. I'm going through mental health problems now. It's no fun, but having someone to talk to is helpful. That's exactly right. It's that we need that. We need people to talk to. And you know, and we are dealing in some, you know, some incredible times, man. Well, you know, counsel is going to be the order of the day. You know, counsel is something that we're going to need as a people going forward, you know, and well, we've been needing it. But our problem is we just not seeking it because, you know, we can't go to, you know, people who don't, you know, go through the experiences that we go through. All right. Also, it says, because of these factors and more, select. It says, because of these factors and more, sorry. It said, because of these factors and more, Black and African American people are more likely to experience chronic and persistent rather than episodic mental health conditions. So it's saying that, you know, because of the conditions that we're dealing with, you know, the being Black and Hispanic in America, the oppression, the systematic racism, you know, all of these things, we're not having our own hospitals, and we don't have our own therapists to talk to. We, you know, these things, because of these things, we're not getting the problem addressed when it's needed to be addressed. So it lingers on throughout our life. You ever heard of like if you go, you know, like I said, we counsel people. So we talk to like people who become, you know, lesbians and homosexuals and things of that nature. They'll always tell us it was something that happened to them while they were little. They had been molested or something while they was, you know, young, you know, 9 years old, 5 years old. They had been molested then, and that was the core issue that they were dealing with that never was addressed, and it ended up, and that's why, you know, 20 years later, they're 26, 27 years old, and now they're homosexual or a lesbian. This is the things that, you know, we've gathered through our dealing with our brothers and sisters who have this issue. And, you know, that's they linger on years and years and years, and that's not only for the homosexuals and lesbians, also for drug addicts. It's also for people who are criminals, murderers, rapists. It was something that happened years ago that wasn't addressed then. So and it just kept on progressing and progressing and progressing and getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout their life, till it ended up either killing them or, turning them into something that, they were never supposed to be. All right. And, and it just, it wasn't an episode of things. It was chronic and persistent. Like this article is saying, it was just, it just kept going and going and going. So now you're having more and more problems, stacked on top of the original problem that you had. It's like an onion. You just peel it, it has more layers to it. And it just, goes on and on and on and on. And it's because the issue is not being addressed, ahead of time. The good thing is, though, that once you seek help from someone who can actually talk to you and someone who can actually help, then that can be the beginning of the end of your persistent and chronic issue that you have. All right. He said, yet hope for recovery shall remain as light is shed upon these issues and the general public holds accountability, policymakers and health systems to evolve better systems which eliminate inequality in mental health service. So there's a lot of inequality in mental health services. And, long as we're keep making light, and it's something, like I said, that should be talked about more, in my opinion, that, when we're getting help, because a lot of our people need help, they just don't know where to go. That's the problem, so who do they go to? They go to the drug dealer.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? Now the drug dealer becomes the counselor of the community. He's the one who hands out the drugs that help them cope with, the trauma that they're dealing with. The drug dealer becomes the therapist. The drug dealer becomes, everything, the one to talk to. When he don't give a damn, he just wants the money. And your pastors and your priests, they're not there to help you at all. They just want money also. So it becomes a really bad situation for us. But we have to keep on, and that's why these classes are so important. That's why these classes are so important for us, because we're shedding light on something that is an issue in our community. And, if we never, ever talk about it, then, it's going to always be there it's going to always be there and be an issue within our community, so it's important that we talk about these things. It's important that we talk about these things. It's important that we continue to try to come up with solutions to help the Blacks and Hispanics in the United States, all right, and around the world also. All right, we're gonna go to a few scriptures selected. I think I had some comments. Okay. So we got a few comments. It was a sister just saying shalom. All right. Sister Jasmine. Sister Ashley. Call you Allah. All right, so we got some scriptures we're gonna go to, of course, just to show you that what we're talking about is biblical. It happens to our people, and it's been happening to our people. It's nothing new. It's been happening to our people. So like. All right, so we're going to start off with Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is always a good spot to start off with. Hold on. I'm going to start off with Deuteronomy. No. So we're going to start off at... we're going to start off at Ecclesiastes. All right. Ecclesiastes in our pocket. Ecclesiastes 30 and 21. Come on. All right, Ecclesiastes chapter 30, verse 21. It says, "Give not over thine mind to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel." So this is talking about, don't give over. This is talking about depression, right? This is a scripture about depression. And it's saying, don't give your mind overness to heaviness. I mean, the scriptures talk about heaviness. It's just talking about, depression. Things that are heavy on you, that's weighing heavy on you. All right. It says, don't give your mind over to those things that weigh heavy on you. All right. This is how you start to, talk to yourself and start to give yourself your own counsel, right? What you need to do. But really, you're thinking out of emotion. All right. You're thinking about what I need to do. And, but it's not there. Like I said, you're thinking out of emotion and you're thinking about your situation and not with a clear mind. So it's telling you not to give your mind over to heaviness, because you'll start to listen to the little voices in your head that's telling you to do stuff, and you're swearing down that it's God telling you to do it. Like always, we put so much of our dumb stuff on God. You know what I'm saying? God told me to do this. God told me to do that. And God ain't told you to do none of that. All right. It's you thinking out of your emotion that's telling you to do it. All right. So it says, give not thy mind over to heaviness, and afflict not thyself in thine own counsel. Because a lot of times you can afflict yourself. What does afflict mean? It means that you can hurt yourself through your own counsel. All right. You sitting around with mental health issues and you're going to the drug dealer to solve your mental health issues, and you can end up ODing off of that. You do what I'm saying? It's Whitney Houston is not here on earth anymore because she afflicted herself in her own counsel. She was dealing with issues that were not being addressed. I can't stress that enough. And that's why it's so important to get counsel. Because if you're not getting counsel, then who's counseling you when you're not getting counsel? Go ahead, sister.
Either yourself or a friend.
Well, they will be giving you counsel. But if you're not getting counsel from anybody, who's giving you counsel?
You get it from yourself.
You giving yourself counsel.
Yeah.
And you end up afflicting yourself over your own counsel. Yeah. And this is how Whitney Houston died, afflicting herself through her own counsel. And that's something, man, that Ecclesiastes 30 and 21 says, And that's something that we have to take in consideration, you know, that, you know, it's so important to get counsel. A lot of people are scared, act like they're scared to get counsel because, you know, the demon in them don't want to change. So they don't want to hear what counsel got to say, because what the counsel going to say? That you need to change X, Y, and Z in your life, and other things will start changing for you. You know, life can become greater when you stop doing X, Y, and Z. So your demons don't want to hear it. So that's what's stopping you from going to get counsel. Your demons. It ain't nobody else. It's your demons don't want you to get counsel because they don't want to leave. All right. And then they just want to do what? Afflict you. That's what they want to do. Afflict you. So this is why, you know, brothers and sisters, you know, why it's so important that we get counsel, you know, from the things that we're dealing with, you know, and it helps us, you know, to not dwell on our own thoughts. Because that's what we'll end up doing without counsel, dwelling on our own thoughts and then trying to solve our problems through our emotions. All right. Because you're going to start crying, and, you know, the thing that, you know, things that are going on in your life, you're going to be mad, and then you're going to start thinking irrational and not thinking clear-minded. All right. So that's why the scripture is so important. All right. That we follow these scriptures, because, like I said, the answers, and this is what we believe in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, all of our answers to all of our problems are inside of the Bible. They are inside these scriptures. We just haven't ever read the scriptures correctly and was never able to break these scriptures down and apply them to our life, because we have pastors and, you know, priests who don't understand the scriptures at all. And that's who we've been getting our counsel from. All right. But, you know, brothers and sisters, now there's no excuse for us to not, you know, get the breakdowns of what the scripture is talking about, because we actually have people who understands the Bible, you know, and understands us and can relate the Bible to us to, you know, heal us as a people. I think heal is a great word, because our people need healing. All right, let's go to Job, the book of Job. The book of Job, chapter 10, verse 1. The book of Job, chapter 10, verse 1. So like that. The book of Job, chapter 10, verse 1. It says, "My soul is weary of my life." There, you know, it's saying that his soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. So this going back to what we were just talking about. You know, how, you know, you become weary of the things, and weary just means you can become tired, you know, of the things in your life that's going on in your life. And you're going to complain to yourself about what? Life. Things that are happening in your life. And it says, I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. So this is you complaining about the things that are going on in your life, and you're causing bitterness to happen. You know, you become bitter now. It's like, have you ever been to a job that you didn't like? You go to a job you didn't like, right? And you just, it's like every single little thing at that job just pisses you off. You know what I'm saying? It's like every little thing. I've been to a job where I was like, man, I hate this job. And every little thing there just pisses you off, and you just get mad. Then you just talk about it, you know, all day. And it becomes bitter to people who haven't done anything to you at the job. But now you're mad at everybody, you know what I'm saying? Because you're mad at the job. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be here, and I'm pissed off, and, you know, everybody's pissing me off, and people coming in saying hi to me, you know, and I'm just like, you know, screw you. You know what I'm saying? And people are being nice to me, and I'm like, screw you, because I hate this job. And I become what? Bitter. You know, because I'm, you know, weary of my life. I'm getting tired of the things that are going on within my life. You know, and it makes me bitter to other people. And it makes me bitter in other aspects of my life because I'm mad at this one particular thing. Or you might be with somebody. You might be with somebody who you don't want to be with. And you become evil and angry to every damn body. You know, you beating on the kids. Because, you know, they look like, you know, the dad. You dig what I'm saying? You mad at the dad and how he treats you. You know, he ain't coming around. He doing this, he doing that. And now you mad at the kids because they look like him. Every time you see their little face, their little beautiful face, you thinking evil of them. You know what I'm saying? Now you beating out on the kids and everything. It's like the sister Jay Prince's daughter. You seen her? I hear. Okay, so Jay Prince's daughter had an episode, a mental health episode. That's what they say, a mental health episode. She could just be an evil bitch and just always, you know, abusive to her kids. She could be that. We don't know. But they're trying to say, you know, it could be postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. All right. It could be that. Or it could be she's just a wicked woman who beats on her kids. You dig what I'm saying? We don't know. I haven't heard, you know, anybody from her camp says, you know, it's PTSD. But, you know, a lot of people are assuming that's what it is because, you know, she snapped on her baby, you know, and was abusive to her baby. And, you know, and she, like I said, it could be she just bitter at the baby dad. I've seen this before, where women are just bitter at their baby dads and are abusive to their children because of that. You know, it could be, you know, either way it go, it's still, you know, she's being, you know, she's going through mental health problems either way. Okay. You know, and that's something that it needs to be addressed, and she needs therapy and she needs counseling for, you know, her issues that she's dealing with. And Lord, I pray to the Lord that she get there, what she needs. She should call, you know, ISPK Houston, and she down there in Houston. She should call ISPK Houston and get proper counsel that she needs, you know. And I pray that, you know, one day she can get it. But like I said, it will make you bitter when you're mad at life. Life can make you bitter and make you evil because you're not getting things addressed that you need to get addressed. You know, why am I so damn mad at, you know, because nobody gives you power. You know, nobody is able to have that kind of power over you. You do what I'm saying? It's like you give that power, you know, your power over to somebody. Questions?
That's like, sir. I was gonna say, like speaking with the sister, like when you just said, you know, she was postpartum depression, and I know this, like for postpartum depression, especially and stuff, and especially when you dealing mentally, your body changes and hormones and stuff like that have a lot to do with postpartum depression. Right. And a lot of women have it. And a lot of times they don't get it addressed because they don't want people to think that they're a bad mother. So you just kind of deal with it. Okay, so when you say they don't want people to think that they're a bad mother, like if you tell people that you having thoughts in your head, like you can't take care of your child, and you know what I'm saying, like some days you can't get out of bed, and some days you just sit and let your baby cry, and you know, and things like that. That's real. That's okay. Let me ask you something, because it's something. Okay, you hitting on something. All right, so you know, it was saying that you know, the majority of people who have these mental health issues are not getting them addressed. They're not going to therapists and going and getting the proper counseling and things that they need, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the majority of us, all right? So a lot of people who've had their children taken from them by like
child service, the child service people and things of that nature. You think if more people, okay, so if you have PTSD, will child services take your children?
If they feel like your kid is in danger.
If they feel like it's in danger.
Yeah, and they can. It really depends on the state, and you know, and like who your caseworker is. And the thing of it is that yes, they'll use that against you,
right?
If they want your, you know, if they want your kid, and a lot of times people know that too.
So that's what, and that's what I'm going to. So is a lot of, you think a lot of our sisters are not, you know, they might be dealing with this, but they're not going to get help because they're scared that, you know, child service people are going to take their kids from them.
And I think a lot of it is that they scared that their kids are going to be taken from them. And then a lot of it is too that sometimes people don't know what that is.
What do you mean?
Like,
okay, they don't know what.
Yeah, they don't know that they have postpartum depression, or they don't know that they bipolar, or they don't, you know.
Yeah.
Like they don't know. Like, and so you just thinking
because they're not diagnosed.
Yeah, because and you're not saying nothing to nobody because it's hot in your head. Oh, okay, well, I can keep it to myself, you know, and deal with it. We just deal with it. You just need to deal with it.
Let me ask you something.
Or you say something, or you do say something to somebody, they say something like, oh, that's a demon.
Let me ask you something. So what if our people, so, because this is what I'm thinking too. Our people are it's so normalized now. You dig what I'm saying? That it's so normalized that people will see it, and it's damn near, it's so normal that people won't even be like, okay, you know, something wrong with you. When, you know, it's like, say for instance, you know, you might grew up and your parents, you know, used to whoop on you a lot or hit on you, or, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. So now you doing it to your child, you know, they had it and they were doing it and they were so abusive, and then you start to think that that's the way that you should raise your children, because it was passed down from your grandmother to your mother to you. So now, you know, and they were all doing the same thing, which they all could have had mental health issues, but they're teaching their mental health issues to their children. So now they're traumatizing their child, they're traumatizing their child, they're traumatizing their child. You do what I'm saying? And it's so normal that we don't even look at it as being unnormal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, even though we know that this ain't right, we looking at it like it's a normal thing because we've been taught it throughout, you know, it's become Black culture. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you a prime example of that, what you just said. If you look at the majority of the people who are afraid of animals, like dogs or things, you know, certain things, and you ask them, why are you afraid? I'm gonna just use a dog as an example. Why are you afraid of dogs? I don't know. I just don't like them. Well, did you ever get bit? No. Well, where did you get from? Well, my mama didn't like dogs. So my mama used to always tell me, stay away from that dog. That dog gonna hurt you. Stay away from that dog. That dog gonna hurt you. It's the same thing. You've been trained to think that way. We've been trained to be like, well, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be okay. You might be sad, just get up and do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, just get up and move around or something, or go do this or something, instead of just actually receiving or actually being like, well, maybe you should go get some help. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe you should just try petting a puppy that you ain't never did in your life. You get what I'm saying? Maybe you should go get some help.
Right.
And that's just a lot of times. And a lot of times it's just the judgment of other people. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of times people don't say nothing. You know, that's look, man, you can't hang. You know what I'm saying? Or
but the majority of and that's a great point that you're making. That was some heavy points, and the majority of it is, you know, the issue is that we just don't try to go get help, because of how people might look at us. You know, a lot of our parents were bad parents, you know, and, you know, we just like, well, they did the best that they could, you know what I'm saying? And not understanding that they could have done way better.
Right.
If they would have received some, you know, counseling about how to do things. And the sister said, Sister Ash said, Princess Ash UPK said, that's true. I dealt with that with my son. It's really hard and you feel like a major failure, you know, and that's one of the things that our sisters are dealing with. You know, they're scared to go get help because, you know, the white man might take their children, or, you know, they scared because they scared of what other people might think of them when they're actually, you know, going through something that the people who might think of you, they going through it too. You know what I'm saying? And they're not going to get help for theirs either. They just probably coping and hiding it a little better than you are.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sister.
You think about postpartum depression can last for years. Postpartum depression, they call it postpartum depression, but it can actually linger on for a long time and just turn into a full-blown depression.
Right.
And like, you know, head you down. I know.
So hold on, you just said something. So sorry, if I could. So postpartum depression is supposed to be like we just read. It's not supposed to be a lingering condition. It's supposed to be something episodic.
Yes.
Condition. It was just supposed to boom, this happened, and you know, I'm feeling this way. I go get help, and then it goes away.
Yeah, like some people can go through it for a month. Some people can go through it for 5 months. Some people can go for a whole year with postpartum depression. For a whole first year of their baby life with postpartum depression.
Right.
And then go from there, and then it just carry on into a depression. You get, so yeah, it could be, you know, an episode of depression, and then they're able to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And then you got some people who can't, you know, get out of it.
Right. Dang. All right, we're gonna go to Psalms, the 6th chapter, verse 6. Psalms 6 and 6. Psalm verse 6 and 6, it says, I am weary with groaning. So I'm tired, you know, from all of the groaning that I make. All the night make I my bed to swim. So it just, you know, I water my couch with tears. You know, depression is something that's, like I said, it's serious, man. It'll have you, you know, crying a river. You do what I'm saying? Because of the trauma and depression that you are enduring. You know, have you up all night, can't go to sleep, you tossing and turning and crying in the bed, you know, because you are depressed and you are listening to, you know, the thoughts in your head. And it's a real thing, man. It's not something that's, you know, for a lot of people, it's happening, you know, for, like your sister was just saying, for years and years and years, because the problem isn't being addressed, or it's being addressed incorrectly. All right, it's being addressed with, you know, with medication or alcohol or, you know, drugs or things of that nature. So it's just, you know, I remember this sister, man. She had what's that when you had, well, all the sisters that y'all always think that they got?
What, bipolar?
Bipolar. She was bipolar. She was a for real bipolar. So this was the first episode, you know, when I actually seen this behavior before, but I never knew it was bipolar. You know, bipolar is, I just always understood that it was, you know, I see them when she was high, she was high. You do what I'm saying? It's like when she was happy, she was like super duper happy. When she was sad, she was super duper sad. It wasn't no in between. Yeah. It was either she's high or she's low, you know, and that was, you know, like I said, I didn't know until she actually told me what was going on with her. She was taking medication and stuff to keep her in between. Mm-hmm. That's what the medication was for, to keep her in between. But, you know, I've seen other sisters that way. And I know a lot of sisters who are that way. You do what I'm saying? It's like when they mad, they on a 10. It's like they can't get mad and then just calm down and be like, you know, think about it or something like that. It's just, I'm mad and it's on go. It's on go mode, you know. Or when they, you know, when they happy, it's like super duper happy. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people just don't know how to balance it out. That's mental health. You know, that's mental health issues. You know, and it's strong when you don't don't know how to handle, you know, the problems of the day. You do, and you take it to a whole nother level, you know, and just cry a lot. You know, sisters, man, cry. It's more sisters cry. I seen a meme of a sister that she was like, you know, sisters, they look strong or act strong, but when nobody's looking, they cry. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of sisters who you might think is strong black women, but when nobody's looking and nobody's around, they're crying. Because in reality, they have trauma that they haven't dealt with, and they're using this, you know, toughness as an actual coping mechanism instead of, you know, being, you know, sweet and, you know, feminine and, you know, the way that God wants you to be. You know, a lot of our sisters are tough, and, you know, it's just a coping mechanism to deal with the trauma that they've not addressed. You know, it's something that a lot of our sisters deal with. And, you know, it could be better, you know, if we start to address these issues outside of, you know, doing drugs and, you know, having trauma bonding with other sisters. You dig what I'm saying? Because that trauma bonding with other sisters is part of the damn problem too. You know, now you got two people who got trauma, and now they're just coming together and making more trauma. You dig what I'm saying? Instead of both of y'all getting counsel and trying to address the trauma that you're enduring. Let's drop that. Let's go to let's go to Deuteronomy. Hold on. Yeah, let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 54. And I'm just putting out a lot of scriptures that deal with and address, you know, why we're going through what we go through. Why it's wise to, you know, get counsel. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, this is part of, you know, what we as a people need. And these problems are not being addressed. I think this should be one of the main, you know, talking points of, you know, the Black and Hispanic community is how, you know, we can deal with all of the trauma that we face by simply being Black in America and Hispanic in America. I mean, just that alone, you're going to face trauma. And, you know, I would seek counsel just for the problems that we have as a people. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. It says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children which he shall leave. So this is this is a prophecy, right? This is a prophecy about how Black and Hispanic men, will be in the future if they don't follow God's laws, statutes, and commandments. You will become a brother who is evil to his brother. You become a brother who is evil to his children. You become a brother who is evil to his wife when you don't follow God's commandments, because God's commandments teaches us to be loving to our wives and to our children. So when you're not following God's commandments, that's how you become evil towards, your brother, your wife, and your children. And it's tell you that you ultimately will leave them because of, you're not following the commandments of God. Commandments of God tell us not to lead them. So when you're not following the commandments of God, you're going to do the opposite of what the commandments of God telling us to do. So the law, statutes, and commandments tell us that we should stay with that we should love and be kind to our brothers, that we should love and be kind to our sisters, that we should love and be kind to our children. And that's what, when we are not following these things, then that's how we become evil towards these people. All right. And it says, so that he will not give any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. So we'll start to abuse our children. All right. We'll start to abuse our children, and not care about our children because of us not following these commandments. When we don't follow the commandments, then we'll start to abuse and hate our children. And, this is how the trauma starts to begin with men. All right. He says, because he have nothing left in the siege and in the straightness, whereas thine enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates. So it's like, you ever seen a man come home from work and, he just been beat down at work, they done talk bad to him. And, of course, they done probably emasculated him at work. You know what I'm saying? And then he comes home from work and he cusses out his woman, cuss out the children, ready to beat the children and, do all these things because of how he's been treated by the oppressor and by the oppression that he's dealing with. We out here selling drugs, and never coming home and out here living, in the game and never taking care of our responsibilities because we're in the game. And then you wonder why we're in the game, because we aren't able to advance because of the oppression that we endure. So now we're having to pick and choose, the life of crime. So we choose the life of crime. And once a brother chooses the life of crime and starts to see a little money, he don't want to lead the life of crime. Right. So now he's stuck in the trap, that's the appropriate, name for it, the trap. And he's stuck in the trap, and now he just want to, live the life of, a hustler or whatever it is that he's doing, crime-wise. So, he doesn't get out of it, and he's stuck in it, and it becomes his life. So within that life, he has no time for family. He has no time for, friendships and things of that nature. So he becomes evil because of the oppression that he's enduring. And it says, to the tender and delicate woman among you, which would adventure to set the sole of her foot on the ground. So for delicateness and tenderness. So this is talking about our sisters, how our sisters, are originally supposed to be delicate and tender. That's how a woman is supposed to be, the daughters of Zion. That's what the scriptures call it. That's how you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be tender and delicate. All right. That's how our sisters are supposed to be. But when they're not doing the law, statutes, and commandments, they are becoming the opposite of that. They're no longer tender. They're no longer delicate. All right. And it says, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom. So now the sister becomes evil when she's not being tender. So if a woman is not tender and delicate, what does the scripture say she is? Anybody can answer. You know it online. You know the answer online. What does the scripture say? It said when a woman is not being tender and delicate, the scripture says she is being what? Go ahead.
Evil.
She's being evil. All right. That's how a woman should always be tender and delicate. Anything outside of that to her husband, then she's being evil to the husband. It says her eyes should be evil towards the husband of her bosom and towards her son and towards her daughter. All right. And this is how a woman is supposed to be tender and delicate to her children also. He said, and toward the young one that cometh out from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them and want of all things secretly in the siege and the strength, and that enemy shall distress thee in our gates. So the sister will go through the same thing. She will become evil and oppressive to her children and her husband because of the world and the way a woman. Our sisters are not in rulership, so we being subjected to oppression. So our sisters will start to hate their husbands because they don't have enough money and they don't have they're not paying the bills on time. They not and got Birkin bags and things of this nature. And they will start to hate. A good example was yesterday, Valentine's Day. How many of these Negroes right now is with a side chick today because of all of the problems that he dealt with his main gal yesterday? About her not wanting to, she cussing him out because he didn't buy this, buy that. She didn't want to give him none. You know what I'm saying? He done spent all his money to do this and do that, and she just still emasculating him and talking bad to him. And this is a real thing, man. You do what I'm saying? Because she's been told that this is the thing that she's supposed to have by her oppressor. So when she don't get it, well, she's mad at him. This scripture played out in real life yesterday. Now she mad at him because she didn't get the teddy bear. Now she mad at him because she didn't get flour and candy. And now she's pissed off. And, the world done told her this is what she should have as a black woman. And if that black man ain't getting you all this, well, he ain't nothing. So now she mad at him, because she don't have the things that she think that she deserves, and because that's what the world told her that she should have, And you know what? I'm gonna end this scripture of this class right here. I got some more scriptures. To matter of fact, I'll just get you out of scriptures. I got Job 39 and 16 and 17. I got Isaiah 49 and 15. And I got Lamentations 4 and 3. Those are some good scriptures. And those scriptures are talking about sisters who are oppressive, to their children and how they treat their children. And, it can go, there's so many scriptures in there that talks about counsel and, the things that we should do going forward. I'm going to read one more scripture. Read one more scripture, and then I'm going to close it out. I'm going to go to Proverbs 1 and 5. All right. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 5. Well, no. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14, and it reads, where no counsel is, the people fail. You're wondering why we fail as a people? Because we don't seek counsel. That's why we fail as a people. Because we just, like I said, we cope with the oppression that we endure. We cope with the mental health that we have, the mental health issues that we have. We find ways to cope instead of seeking counsel on these things. All right. It said, where no counsel is, the people fall. He said, but in the multitude of counsels, there is safety. So if we want to be safe, if we want to be able to address the problems that, being Black and Hispanic in America, if we want to address those problems that we have that no one goes through but us, well, we have to seek counsel. And we don't seek counsel from heathens. We have to seek counsel from other people that looks just like us, that are Black and Hispanic. Those are the people we have to seek counsel from, because they're the ones who understand us. They're the ones who get, and can give proper counsel. And we have to go to Black doctors. We have to go to, I can't stress this enough, man. We have to go and help one another. That's the cure. We cannot continue to go help, try to get help from the people who are oppressing us. We have to help one another. All right. So, that's one of the issues that we're dealing with. And, in order for us to grow as a people, well, we have to help one another as a people. All right. Y'all got any more questions about anything? All right. So with that, we the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out at 1 West, 125th Street, heart of New York, under command of General Yohana. I'm Officer Laquan of the Nashville School, and that's my time. Shalom.
ISUPK presents the 54th annual Feast of Unleavened Bread. Last year we did it big. This year is going to be way big. More brotherhood, more sisterhood, more UPK. On Sunday, April 2nd, 2023, we're going to be at 421 South Salisbury Street in Raleigh, North Carolina at the Sheraton Raleigh Hotel Ballroom. We're calling all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to come join us.
Your third eye peephole, line for line, this shit too easy. It's like a free throw. Mastered the game too early. This bitch.
Remember, admission to the Passover is $200 per adult. That's $200 per adult. For more information, call 919-697-8257. Call 919-697-8257.